Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Chad Arms, a.k.a. Chat D by B, level 30.
Hello, my name is Tony Wilson, a.k.a. Friday the 14th.
And I'm Hot Mike Chance. Get it right.
And I am BJ the DJ.
Hey, you forgot one thing.
How's your mama doing?
Hit the Cash App.
Hit that cash app.
Chance, for the listeners and watchers, do you have a Cash App?
I don't think so.
Okay, hell, hit it anyways, y'all. Wham!
Hold on, I got a question now. After the last recording, you realized that he was saying 11:30. I went back and
I watched it.
I went back and found the 11:30 compilation video.
So embarrassing.
Just the start, the evolution of
I
it.
love it.
My hairstyles,
The
my
evolution of
facial
the
hair.
hairstyle.
That was the thing I noticed. Like Chad went from the Jesus long hair to the short fade, the no facial
To a
hair,
goatee,
the
to no-
goatee, the
the
mustache,
Long
all
hair
the
don't
beard.
care.
Long hair don't care. I mean,
Dark
he was
hair,
smacking
and just-
himself.
Yeah.
I
The
mean,
belly slap originated at Lowe's Millwork. Shout out
Really?
Lowe's Millwork.
It definitely did.
Yes.
That's a fun factor right there.
Oh man.
Fun fact, man.
And just for the record, if Chance doesn't have a Cash App, I do, and I'll make sure he gets the money. So.
All right.
hit
Sounds
it
good.
up. Boom. Hit it up at Star.
That's it, man.
Yeah, I
That
don't
is
know.
it.
But yeah, we're back, man. I don't even know what episode this is. We just record and record and record.
That's it.
Pump them out like a factory. You know what I'm talking about?
Just stacking them.
Now, this one, it's going to be dated, but we got to say this. Rest in peace, Bray Wyatt.
Yes.
Wyatt.
Yeah, and Terry Funk.
Lost
And
Terry
Terry
Funk
Funk.
yesterday. As we're recording this, yesterday Terry Funk passed. And then today we find out Bray Wyatt passed away. Still don't know why or what happened, but, definitely.
It's terrible. I mean, 36 years old. It's
Young.
Well, actually, this is coming out next, like when we're recording this, right?
No, SummerSlam will be next.
yeah. SummerSlam will be next.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
We're already
couple
ahead.
of
So, yeah. So this is probably coming out in September of 2024, but either rest in peace to Bray Wyatt,
Yeah,
rest in
it's-
peace to Terry Funk, man.
And probably one of the biggest fumbles in WWE history
Definitely.
is the character of Bray Wyatt.
Agree with that.
man.
I mean, just
He had a run there as the Wyatt family. I mean, just the vignettes, the character itself. I mean, he had a run. The crowd screaming. He's got the whole world in his hands. This whole display, like Bray Wyatt's character was so iconic in such a short amount of time, man.
his entrance when coming to the ring, all the house lights go
Yes.
down, and just everybody in the attendance would be lighting the way to the ring. It's just,
Unbelievable.
and then coming back with the Fiend gimmick was awesome as well. To come back, change up Bray Wyatt and come back with the Fiend and all that. It's very sad to hear, and it's just sad that the WWE just absolutely fumbled that whole gimmick big time.
Yeah, it's awful.
Because that could have been a perfect heel champion to run for a while.
He was the next. For me, he was the next coming of Taker. Like that character could have carried on for years.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, I love Taker, but Bray Wyatt was more agile and
And for a big man.
Yeah, I don't want to say a better worker than Taker's. Taker's the goat, one of the goats, but Bray Wyatt.
He was going to be on that level.
I think he was really involved in his character too, like the Undertaker is.
for
Like
sure.
he lived the gimmick quite a bit. So
rest in peace, Bray Wyatt. Rest in peace, Terry Funk. I know he had been sick for a while.
Yeah.
And the last couple of times, I think I'd seen him on Dark Side of the Ring, and he looked. I mean, you could tell he'd been. I don't know what happened. If he had cancer or if he was just sick, but he's in his 70s.
There's no tell, like his body.
Yeah.
His body just had to
and
be
he loved to
given
drink
out.
too. So I mean, you know what I mean? Like it may have been a combination of a lot of stuff, but rest in peace to both those guys. Man.
just thinking beyond the mat. Whenever he
was in bad shape.
Like he could barely get up out of bed and walk around.
It was 20
It took him
years
a while.
ago.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So-
And
I
I'll
can't
never
imagine.
forget the Cactus Jack Terry Funk barbed wire match.
Oh my gosh,
Man,
dude! They killed each other.
They killed, and there's that one ECW match where they were throwing the chairs in the ring, like just hardcore legend. Just he
And of course, he was an actor in what our show is named after, Over the Top.
over the
Top,
top.
yeah,
He
sure.
sure was.
Mr.
Sure was.
Cutler
Yeah,
wants
and
a word
Roadhouse.
with you.
He was in Roadhouse too.
Isn't he the stunt coordinator for?
I forget. We talked about that. I forget.
Yeah.
I pulled it up in one of the facts. He was a stunt coordinator for one of the movies we talked about here a couple episodes ago.
I actually started watching Halloween Havoc '89 was the Thunderdome match.
Oh man.
He comes to the ring and he is chiseled. Like
Oh, yeah,
I've
he
never
was-
seen Terry Funk in that good a shape. Like he was chiseled.
He was one of my favorite people that Flair went up against too.
Oh yeah, they had good little rivalry there.
It's
Yeah.
sad to see with them two.
Definitely.
Especially
Thank
on
you guys
back-to-back
for the
days.
memories. We really enjoyed you guys entertaining us for years. We hate that both of you have passed unexpectedly.
And the whole Rotunda family. I mean, you had IRS, Erwin R. Shyster.
He had a great career too. People give him crap for the gimmicks, but I mean, he had a great career.
He was a worker.
He was a worker.
Bo
I mean,
Dallas.
and his uncle was Barry the Wyndhams.
Yep.
Bo Dallas.
Yeah, Bo Dallas is a brother.
Does he still do stuff? I don't.
He would have. I mean, I think he would have. A lot of people speculated he was the Uncle Howdy character. They speculated. Nobody really knew for sure. They were trying to find a way to bring him back in some capacity, but I don't know if it ever happened.
Yeah. So this episode, a few episodes back, we did a managers episode, and then we was going to try to do both of these in one episode, but it was just too much.
Yeah.
So we split them up. So now we're doing valets in professional wrestling. Now there's a good list here.
Oh yeah.
There's probably a good enough list where we can just stick with valets, guys, and if y'all want, we'll just see how it goes.
Fine with me.
But we've got a good list here of valets. The female, manager / valets in wrestling over all the years, and we'll just kind of go with that. If y'all want to kind of take the wheel, and we'll kind of get started on there.
Well, one of my favorite of all time is she was always on the heel side was Sherry Martel.
Sherry Martel's the goat, man.
Just her heel work and her work in general. She'd take a bump.
Yep.
She was very vocal on the outside of the ring at all times, and she got your attention more than just for her looks. I mean,
She was scary, bro.
Yeah.
She was scary Sherry there for a while,
just
all the time. I always called her Scary Sherry. I mean, it was Sensational Sherry a lot, and Sherry Martel, early on. But
Sister Sherry.
Sister
Sherry.
Sherry.
Sherry with Harlem Heat.
Yep.
Her list of wrestlers that she escorted to the ring or managed was.
I mean, she helped build up Shawn, I think. For his
she
solo
definitely did.
run.
Like the original music for Shawn Michaels, it was her singing,
Screaming on it.
Yeah.
and then they for some reason took her off. And
Did you hear the song originally?
I think once they
I
split
did.
up,
Yeah,
once they split up, they
It wasn't good.
took her off of it.
Yeah. I wasn't as familiar with her from a wrestling standpoint, but I always remembered her being a valet. She would always be the person bringing the wrestler to the ring. But like as a wrestler, though, she was pretty decorated. 5-time women's champion, even won manager of the year before. My memory serves me with Shawn Michaels, of course, but also she was very involved with Harlem Heat and WCW.
Yep.
But like you said, she'd take a bump, she'd get out there, she would get involved. Before bra and panties matches were a thing, I remember Sherry wrestling in like an evening gown and stuff like that. And no shoes. She was the most ratchet woman I ever seen in my life.
she was barefoot
in
all
most
the
of
time.
all the time.
And in '91 when she won the Manager of the Year, that was when she was managing Macho in the WWF, right?
Yeah,
Sure was.
probably one of the greatest storylines right there with the whole Elizabeth and Sherry thing, and then you got people crying in the crowd when Miss Elizabeth comes running back into the ring to help all that out. And it just
there was that weird interaction to that weird deal where she gets on her knees for Ultimate Warrior, and is like begging him. It's some real like coded like sexual shit back then, bro. In '91, that was like not spoke on, but I remember that being a thing. But that was all during that same year.
But going back to it, the time that Sherry stuck out to me the most, of course, when Shawn Michaels going into his solo run, and then when Sister Sherry with Harlem Heat and that tag team, one of the greatest tag teams of all time.
I forgot all about the setup with Macho Man. I remember that. Like Macho had fired Miss Elizabeth. Hogan came to her rescue, and that's what set all that up. I forgot all about that. She's actually the wrestler who dethroned Fabulous Moolah also.
Oh.
She's the one that beat Moolah.
Oh, because Moolah had like over a year, didn't she?
No, Moolah was like decades. Moolah held that title forever.
Yeah,
Moolah
Sherry
held it forever.
For 15 months.
Yeah, Sherry held it for about 15 months. So,
and that was a
big deal.
damning Dark Side of the Ring about Moolah. Right,
Moolah was pimping them girls out, man.
That is crazy to hear.
That was
about
wild stories going on about that. And I'd been hearing that like on. I want to say on Pritchard's pod that it got talked about in the early stages of the Pritchard podcast. They
really didn't want to talk about Moolah in that light at all.
No,
they did not want to bring her up like that. They even changed the name. They had that Moolah Invitational on NXT. They changed it to the Mae Young Invitational. Like they really didn't want to put that out there about Moolah.
No, and she, of course, in AWA she managed Buddy Rose and Doug Summers. They were tag champs in AWA.
They were a big tag team in the AWA. Yeah. They were pretty dominant.
She managed the Rockers too. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yep, she did. When they first started, So she knew Shawn and Marty from AWA, of course, but when they first came to WWE, I think she managed them in AWA, but when they came to WWE, I don't think she ever managed them there.
Gotcha.
That was just in the AWA.
Fun fact right there. I didn't know she managed Tatanka.
She was literally, at some point, I think, is like, if you want to get over, put them with Sherry.
Put them with Sherry.
Yeah, and of course, in 90, WWF completely just got rid of the women's division. So that's when she just started managing full time and stopped wrestling.
Right. And then, 94, she goes to WCW. She had never managed a world champion at this point. Her goal was to find someone to bring her a world championship. She started flirting with Flair, trying to get Flair to, acquire her services or whatever. So what she did there was she kind of baited Sting into the mix. And then Flair, of course, turns on Sting one of the 10,000 times he did that. But her goal was to manage a world champion. That was her main objective that time.
Dude, I didn't know she managed Honky Tonk Man.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
As like a costume gimmick is what he's got on here. But I remember that Peggy Sue person that used to come out with Honky Tonk Man.
Imagine her singing Honky Tonk Man's theme song.
This is a honka burn life.
Peggy Sue.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Shout out to
Serenade
Honky Tonk
us.
Man if you need to do a remix. Holla at Shop Blah Blah. You know what I'm saying? Shop Pudgy.
Yep.
And then we got the whole Dusty and Sapphire match there. We got that. She was supposed to wrestle Sapphire. Was that WrestleMania 6? Supposed to wrestle Sapphire. Sapphire didn't show up.
Yes, and she did the count out. No, that was the whole thing with Sapphire was being perused. What was perused the right word?
Come on, give us a
Million Dollar
Dusty.
Man was
Come on,
perusing
Dusty.
around the
I don't
town.
know.
Come on, Dusty.
Let me tell you something, sweet Sapphire.
There we go.
Hacksaw, have you seen Sapphire? I sure have it, buddy.
The $1 Million Man.
Oh, man.
Sorry, I got to do my Burt Kreischer real quick.
You good?
Shout out. God, that little group. And then she said she had a brief return of the USWA with Savage.
Yeah, this was during the invasion angle, like when WWE invaded USWA. They were getting ready to set up the Monday Night War thing. This is a whole nother episode altogether, because everyone talks about the Mr. McMahon character that originated in Memphis, and so
what time was this? Like early
90s,
or
93, right before Savage went strict. While Savage was doing commentary for WWE, he was down in Memphis wrestling Jerry Lawler for the title, and so he wins the title and he gives the title to Mr. McMahon. Mr. McMahon cuts his promo, and so when where he's wearing the USWA belt. So during this time, Sherry's down there with Savage, and they're going against Jerry Lawler, and Lawler's playing the face, of course, because it's Memphis. Macho Man Sherry playing the heel. So it was a big takeover. Bret Hart was involved in it as well. Like it was a takeover of USWA. Around the time you started seeing Jerry Lawler predominantly displayed on WWE television, that's when this was going on. So then we lead into the whole Mr. McMahon, the Attitude Era, yada yada.
And then the rest is
history.
Yeah.
Yep.
skyrocket.
You said 94. WCW, she did the whole thing where she turned on Sting. She came out wearing the face paint, turned on Sting.
Trying to bait him into, like, she wanted a world champion. She wanted to manage a world champion. Sting was her go-to. And then she, of course, ends up flipping the script, siding with Flair. Flair turns on Sting. Like that's, to me, that sums up Sting and Flair's rivalry. You know, Sting gives her the benefit of the doubt. Flair switches on him. So
yeah. And of course we talked about Harlem Heat, but she managed Harlem Heat. They won like 7 titles.
7 titles.
That's crazy.
That's when she was Sister Sherry.
Sherry.
Hulk Hogan, I'm coming for you. You know what I'm saying?
What else did he say?
I didn't hear anything else. And then
His face after that, he just where he knows he just fucks up.
shout out Booker T.
Yeah,
man, one
Booker
of the
T is
goats.
just the greatest. But just his face after that incident, he just damn.
Oh man.
Yeah. So, and then do y'all remember when she passed away? Was it in the 90s or was it early 2000s?
It was like mid 2000s, I think.
It was, okay, because I know that she was in WCW. I don't remember when she left and stopped managing. Like towards like 97, 98 maybe?
No, man, she
Before
was
that?
there. She was there close to the end, like late 90s,
Okay.
briefly.
She passed away in 2007.
2007.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
I wish we would have. I don't even think she's got any shoot interviews out because there was shoot interviews previous to 2007. I've seen a bunch of them, but I'm sure she's done some. But
So the
rest
guy
in
that
peace,
has
Sherry.
the guy that has the podcast with Kevin Nash,
yeah, Sean Oliver.
he has
Kayfabe
some
commentaries.
He
yeah.
has some interviews with Sherry. because I was looking that up after we had our conversation during SummerSlam.
He's great.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I love the Kayfabe commentary series. That when we met Kevin Nash, that's what I had him sign was the guest booker DVD.
That's one of the greatest interactions ever. He looks at it and goes, I haven't even seen this.
Where'd you get this? I haven't even seen this yet. I said, I bought it off his website. He goes, that's good shit, man. And then I got him to shout out Blue Limit Soldiers, and he goes, shout out to the Blue Limit Shoulders. And I'm not fixing to be like, you said it wrong, Mr. Nash. He had just got done smoking a big doober outside. Shout out Kevin Nash, man. My favorite big guy in wrestling.
Just cool ass dude.
Oh yeah, for sure. But
he seems like he'd be somebody cool to just interact with.
Oh, super chill, bro. Yeah. But yes, Sherry was one of the GOAT. If not the GOAT, she's one of the GOATs.
I feel like when it comes to Valet, Sherry is the GOAT. Now there's several other names on here that we've talked about that were good, but Sherry, you think WWE in the 90s, WCW in the late. I mean, it's Sherry. Sherry was involved with everybody who was popular, and most, like you said, most of them were heels. She was like the heel man.
Well, and no other woman was doing the things that she inside the ring as well.
Oh yeah,
no other, unless like Medusa and the wrestlers, the women wrestlers themselves.
Yeah.
But as a valet, she was doing just as much as the female wrestlers were.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But she had that history in that background in it though too.
Yeah.
Unlike Miss Elizabeth, that was just a piece of arm candy the whole time. I mean,
she's the definition of the valet.
Arm candy is probably the worst, bad word usage,
right? But I mean, that's what they were. I mean, that's what they were then, though. Like very seldom, like in Sherry's case, Sherry was a dominant wrestler who then became a valet. A lot of these women later on were valets, and then they became wrestlers.
Exactly.
So
she never wrestled, not once. I mean, I'm trying to think. Did she do a mixed tag match against?
Once she started being a valet, I never saw her get in the ring and wrestle.
I never saw her
in the ring
fighting.
Ever.
Yeah,
she did a cat fight.
Didn't her and Macho have a tag match?
I thought they had a mixed tag.
They were
supposed
to have a mixed tag match with Dusty and Sapphire. It never happened.
Oh, okay.
It never
That's
happened.
The one.
Yeah.
Okay.
It ended up being Sherry and Savage. That's what that was.
Happened.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yep. But of course, the best wrestling valet, clearly super classy. You had the whole gimmick. Wasn't a gimmick. They were married in real life. Her and Randy Savage. Everybody knows Savage was super protective of her. You hear the stories about him not letting her leave the dressing room.
Yeah.
Because he didn't trust any of the guys backstage. Yep. And of course, on the dark side of the ring, you can kind of see how that unfolded or whatever. But she was awesome. And then of course, they kind of gave her an edgier look when she went to WCW. She had the biker look and kind of dressed a little bit more skimpy.
Jackets.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about Miss Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't. Yeah, Miss Elizabeth. Yeah, she is. I remember her with Luger almost as much as I remember her with Savage. To be honest,
and that was her downfall, and that was pretty much the downfall.
That was being honest. That's how. That's how she died, bro.
Yeah, it's
that's sad too because, like you said, her character when she first started, she was very naive, very innocent. She was pure. She was elegant. She was classy.
They pushed that all-American girl.
All-American girl. She goes to the WCW, Four Horsemen, and she's. I don't want to say she was. I don't want to say they. I don't know. She had a darker look to her.
Yeah.
But she still played the same character. Just everything she did, she didn't look as naive. She looked a little bit more.
They made her look a little bit like arrogant and stuff. Though.
Yes,
she
that's what it was. That's what it was.
Attitude and and I get it. But and then of course, unfortunately, what ended up happening with that is she overdosed.
Yeah.
While Lex Luger was there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if y'all have listened to the audio of that 911 call of him calling.
It's
sad, man.
It's a lot of people, held him responsible for that. Of course, legally, that ain't what happened. I don't know. It was. I'm guessing it was pain pills or
probably. Yeah.
And I know
looking
everyone.
At Luger. I mean, Luger looks nothing like he.
No, he's another sad case, man.
Well.
And the thing is,
ain't he wheelchair bound as well?
Yeah,
she would have never been one of those people that I ever thought was involved in that stuff. You know what I mean?
And a lot of it may have been just too because she was so sheltered.
Yeah.
When she was with Macho, and then it was kind of like she. That was when she was with Luger, her and Hogan's wife at the time were really good friends.
Mm-hmm.
And she would always talk about how she wanted to get out of the marriage with Savage because he was too protective. And but the dark side of the ring, which again, that's going to be something that we do a whole episode on each of the seasons. But
Now, can y'all ever think of her ever doing a promo?
I don't ever remember her talking much at
that's
all.
what I'm
I remember her like doing not.
I
promos,
remember
but
her
like
talking more
interviews.
in WCW when she had the harder image and everything.
Yeah.
Like I remember her briefly talking more in WCW, but I can't pinpoint a time ever like in the WWF days of her ever talking.
I remember when Macho proposed to her, she went, "Oh yeah," like she did his.
Yeah,
That's the only time I remember her speaking anything. Like I don't know. It's a very unfortunate situation what happened with her and Luger, man. Because like she when you talk about valets, like the role of a valet, she was the model. For that. Like the blueprint was Miss Elizabeth.
Boy, that whole Mega Powers when she ripped that skirt off.
That
was life changing as a kid, right there.
Hey, they're lucky Andre didn't get excited. He would.
Shout out Andre.
You talking about?
Oh man,
that was life changing as a little kid.
Oh
seeing that.
yes.
So
it brought tears to me, like when Macho and when her and Macho got back together. That kid in the stands crying.
Yes.
I cried more when. Happy days.
Right. So R.I.P. to Miss Elizabeth. That's so we're two divas or valets, and both of them are not with us anymore.
No.
This next one is the worst fall from grace of any of the divas. Sunny, who is the original diva. Their episode, her and Candido's episode on this season of Dark Side of the Ring was dope. Unfortunately, they didn't get as deep into it because they were trying to split it up. But Sunny, I mean, she was the biggest thing going. When she came out. When she came to WWE, obviously she got to start Smoky Mountain with Cornette.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Her and Candido both. But she gets to WWF, man, and everybody's like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like, we're used to, like, Bertha Faye, and she wasn't wrestling.
And, of course, Jerry Lawler would make it. He would
throw gas on that fire, for sure. Yeah.
And, of course, they was
yeah.
Dude, she was the most downloaded celebrity when the internet first started.
I think it was like her and whoever, remember Cindy Margolis?
Yeah, Cindy
Margolis.
Margolis.
Like a swim. I remember that always being the names back then.
The most downloaded celebrity. Like, think about that.
That is insane.
Oh, man.
And she was in WWF at a time where it was dog shit.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking 94, 5, 6, that time frame. She was like really the most, not the most, but like one of the most looked forward to things about WWF.
You're right about that.
And Taker,
she would always come out and she would like announce the participants in a light heavyweight championship match, or she'd come out and she would just parade around the ring or something. Like she didn't do anything of any substance.
Yeah.
Like. And then when she started managing tag teams, of course, after that, but she had this fascination with not Tajiri, but Tanaka, the other light heavyweight,
Taku
Michinoku,
Choppy Pee baby.
She had a fascination with him, and every match he was involved in, she was there. Yes, but I mean, Sunny would always she'd always be the ring announcer for those matches, and then. But nothing she did was important. She was just out there for looks.
Yeah.
But it was important in the sense of like it was making WWE some money.
Definitely.
People were taking, you know what I mean? So that she was, and like the only thing that sucks and watching, getting to see like the origin story of her and Chris Candido when Cornette talks about Smoky Mountain and then how she was, and then when they get him to WWF, and then of course Vince puts him in that fucking weirdo gimmick with Tom Pritchard.
Yep.
And Tom Pritchard talks about how much he hated that whole gimmick.
Yep.
And
then Shawn Michaels comes along.
And then of course the story of that with her and him messing around, and Candido knew about it but didn't say nothing, which was a whole other story. But she managed. Of course, the Body Donnas. That was Candido and Tom Pritchard. They won the belts. She got the belts with the Smoking Guns.
Yep.
LOD later on.
Legion, was it Legion of Doom 2000?
2000. They came back wearing the full hockey mask.
Yeah.
And had that,
And I guess
who it wasn't Hawk with it. It was Hawk wasn't part of Legion.
That may have been drawn. Was it?
I know when he first started, he was.
Heidenreich was with them at one time.
Heidenreich.
That was like
that was
late
later.
2000.
Okay.
You stop Heidenreich.
Yeah.
I know you're talking about.
When that happened with Sonny, it was like they came out, they were wearing the full mask.
Yeah.
Then they played into his addiction gimmick, Hawk's addiction gimmick, and then they brought in
exploited and
Droz.
embarrassed him.
Okay.
The same shit they did
right.
with the WWF been doing some shady ass shit.
It's
And then of course the story with Sonny, after that, did they go? They went to WCW or ECW first?
They spent some time in ECW briefly,
and that's when the drug started. I want to say in WWF, but like the drug use started to get worse and worse because Cornette says in the episode they wasn't doing any of that stuff in Smoky Mountain. Like they were both green as could be. Like when it comes to that, and then a lot of that may have started just from the grueling schedule and her hanging out with Shawn and shit like that. And
because Shawn was heavily involved in that stuff back at that time too.
Yeah, and then of course they got fired from WCW. I want to say Bischoff fired them. I don't know if it was because they missed some dates or
I don't know what.
Drugs.
I remember her appearances in WCW being brief. Also, like I don't know, and I may be backwards in saying that she went to ECW first. They may have went to WCW and then got fired and went to ECW just as like a last ditch effort to make some money.
Yeah, and then. It just gets worse after that.
Yeah,
like
her story just goes straight downhill from there.
They fall out of everything, and Candido goes back to TNA. And has a good little thing going there, and then it really messed his ankle up, and ends up dying shortly after that.
He had a really good run in TNA too.
He did, bro. He was doing shit. That was when they were really
got
getting off the ground.
He got healthy. He was clean. He messed his ankle up.
He got on that airplane and flew after he had that blood clot or whatever it was.
Blood clot got him.
Mm-hmm. And so after that, Sonny really, I mean, you can go back and look at the timeline after that. She started kind of falling off. He was doing the drugs, getting the drugs, and then DUIs, and then she did like a stint of like porn for a while, and then she was doing like this like. Recently, she just got another DUI, and she was drunk driving and hit a car and killed a 75-year-old man.
Yeah.
She's on trial for that now. We're going to put the picture up, and I sent it to y'all in the chat. Mm-hmm. She is unrecognizable now.
Totally unrecognizable.
She's somebody's grandma now.
You have to put a side-by-side picture.
She's in
I
bad
don't
shape.
even think she's 50 years old, bro. Look it up. You can look it up.
And here's the thing about her.
She's 50.
Like there was a spell where like Missy Hyatt and all those all those old wrestling women put together like a nude calendar or a nude video or something like that. And you got to think, when you're a 14, 15-year-old kid and Sonny shows up on WWE wearing what you wanted
this year in December.
Crazy,
you wanted to see her nude, naked. You wanted to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Like when she got into the business, you didn't want to see that. Like she was well past that. I mean, it wasn't nothing appealing about it. And even now, like I couldn't believe that was her because there was a time period where she got clean, she got out of jail, they put her in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, oh yeah.
She came back for the Roy. She came back for the Rumble.
She looked great. She looked healthy. She looked.
Didn't
clean.
she pawn off her Hall of Fame ring?
She
as
did,
well?
but she came back during that time period. She came back. She was in the Women's Battle Royal at WrestleMania, and they didn't even make a big deal about her being there. They just she walked down with a bunch of other girls. But she had cleaned up. She had she was in great shape, and then it wasn't long after that she was back out there doing whatever.
And now she's awaiting trial and probably never get out of jail again.
She will never get out of prison.
When they convict her, like they said she's going to do a minimum of 25 years.
Yeah,
because it's like
she's how old now?
She's 51.
She's
a year younger than Jennifer Aniston, bro. Just to put that into perspective. And that picture that's that I showed on the screen. That's a recent picture, like of her in a court hearing, one of her court hearings or whatever. She looks 70 years old, bro.
That's nuts, man.
That's insane.
But so unfortunately,
her demise,
Sonny's demise is the worst of anybody on this list.
Tough business, man. Even tougher, like the wrestling business is tough, but it's probably even tougher for a woman.
Oh, guaranteed, guaranteed.
I'm sure, yeah. Here's another one that's a really big staple in the female. But she's also was a really great wrestler, Jacqueline. Jacqueline,
another one that started off as valet and then
started out as valet. Worked her way into. She was. I mean, she was a great wrestler in Memphis. She was like the premier women's wrestler in Memphis. They showcased her every week. It didn't matter who she wrestled. She beat the fire out of them. She was China before China.
She was with. You can tell Jackie was really about that. That life.
Like
she could throw them hands and but
couldn't cut a promo to save her life. But she was good.
She was She was always good. Like you said that she started in Memphis, and then similar to Sherry, like you said, she was an attractive valet, but also could throw down like Sherry was.
Yep.
She's a little thing too.
Yeah, she was, man.
But she's a Spitfire.
Oh yeah, then she was with Harlem Heat, which I didn't even know that.
Yep. She was in WCW briefly also.
Was that after Sherry or before Sherry? She was with Harlem.
She came in and feuded with Sherry.
Okay.
Actually, that's what happened.
And then of course they had the PMS gimmick with her and who was it? Marlena.
Marlena.
Or Trish, or who was it?
Stan It was
Sean Stasiak.
Sean Stasiak.
Stop it.
Stop
That was the M. It was meat. It was. I don't know what the P stood for.
Pathetic.
But yeah, it was PMS. It was Terry Reynolds, Jacqueline, and Terry. That's who it was.
And meat.
What did PMS stand for? Pretty Mean.
Pretty Mean Sisters. It says it was Terry.
Terry.
It was Terry, Jacqueline, and Ryan Shamrock.
Ryan Shamrock. That's what it was.
Oh my God, I forgot about her. But
Everyone forgets about Ryan Shamrock.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jacqueline.
Pretty Mean Sisters.
And then even after that, like after Jackie did that, she went to she was with Beer Money for a while. In TNA.
She was. I love Beer Money's one of my favorite tag teams of all time. But
See, I got to go back and watch that.
man,
TNA
Beer
stuff.
Money was great, and she was great with Beer Money. It was a good look for her to be with those guys.
And that's during that TNA time that you
Yeah,
lost.
during that
2005,
time
bro.
period, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, no, Beer Money was after that. Beer Money was like 2011.
Oh, okay. So it's
But
It was before the Hogan regime came in because they split them up around that time when Hogan came in.
It got so TNA. Quick tangent, but we're going to get into TNA 2005 whenever everybody gets time to watch them all. I have to rewatch them, but TNA was fire from 05 to like 08, 09, and then when Bischoff and Hogan and all them came, that's when it started getting shoo-shoo.
Yeah.
And then they picked it back up a couple years later.
They brought in Orlando Jordan pouring milk on himself. I was done at that. I was like,
Yeah,
this is
stop
not-
it.
who would have thought Hogan come in and ruin something?
Right.
Don't get me started on Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, dude.
Between Mean Gene and Hogan, we got some bad blood on
Let's
these.
add that to the shit
Yep.
list.
Yeah, so we'll switch
Don't
over to
get me started.
ECW now. You got Francine.
Queen of Hardcore, baby.
Man,
Yeah,
was she
so-
tough.
Was that Tommy Dreamer's girl, or is that a different girl?
No, Beulah was
Beulah,
Tommy.
yeah.
Okay, see, this is where
Francine
it
was
kinda
with
runs
Shane
together.
Douglas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Queen of Hardcore. Francine was that one, man. She was the one in ECW.
That's
She
when you
has a
tuned in on
podcast.
those Saturday nights.
You didn't play with
podcast.
her at all. You didn't play
Man.
with Francine.
She was tough too, boy. She was tough.
Yeah, and you said that she
And of
was
course,
the
they pushed the ECW. Would
Oh,
push.
she's showing. Like,
Yeah.
she's flashing. That was her thing. Like, she'd show it to him. And I think that's what kind of set up Tommy Dreamer and Shane Douglas's feud is she flashed Tommy, and Tommy made out with her. Shane got mad, and that's when they started fighting. So
Yeah.
what do you expect? I mean,
it's that late '90s Jerry Springer thing. But yeah, shout out to Francine.
but I don't think I ever saw her with anybody other than Shane Douglas, though.
I don't remember her reading that.
I don't know if she was with the. Seems like she might have been with the Pit Bulls at one time, but I don't remember.
Maybe. I just know she was like HBIC at ECW. Yeah, she was the one.
And then you had Stacy Keebler.
My favorite. My absolute favorite.
Stacy Keebler, yeah. Stacy Keebler was a winner for sure.
Yeah.
She started in WCW, right?
Yep.
Even then, my
She started
favorite.
off as a Nitro girl, correct?
No, she was a Ravens cheerleader is how she started.
Okay, then
Yeah.
she became a Nitro girl.
I don't think she was ever a Nitro girl. I think she was just a Ravens cheerleader. She got brought in as a valet. as
Wasn't
Miss
she like
Hancock.
with David Flair?
Yeah.
She was with
God,
David.
that she-
I think she had a real relationship. I think.
Are you thinking? No, Tori Wilson had a relationship with David
Yeah.
Flair.
But on WCW,
No,
wasn't
yeah,
Stacey
she
Keebler-
came in-
Okay, she was associated. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. She was. I think when she came into WCW, they put her with David Flair.
I mean, she had the best entrance in WWE ever. I mean, but at this point, WWE wasn't even pushing the envelope. So, like, in the 90s, you would have got a back shot of that entrance, and it would have showed you all the business. But you didn't get that when she was doing it. But it was still, like, one of the best entrances ever. Her legs were longer than a mile. Like,
Yeah,
it
and
just,
she used them to her advantage.
unbelievable.
Wasn't she with George Clooney too?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she had a long relationship with George.
Talk about a
Clooney.
bag.
Yeah.
George Clooney's bag now,
Yeah.
bruh.
In WWE, I remember her being closely associated with the Dudleys and
Yep.
Scott Steiner.
Yep.
And she managed Test for a while.
Test for a while, yeah.
RP test. She's in the first Bra and Panties match with Tori Wilson, Lita, and Trish Stratus.
That's a lot of meat right there, bro.
That's a lot of meat for sure. She also managed
Caked up.
Dudley.
Yeah, the Dudley boys.
Dudley Steiners and Test, yeah.
Yeah.
But and then she just disappeared. She
Yeah, I don't remember hearing anything about her being released or anything.
no, I think she just disappeared. She got put into the Hall of Fame, WWE Hall of Fame this past year and everything.
Well deserved. I mean, she.
I think she wanted to stop and have a family. Actually, just have a family and everything.
And this was at the point where WWE's women's division got really good.
Yeah,
like their girls could actually wrestle. And they were fun to watch. You know, I mean, aside from the gimmick matches, but they could actually go.
That's when it wasn't just about the whole bra and panty sex appeal, like the Attitude Era. It was actually about are they good at wrestling, and they started taking them seriously at that point.
Yeah.
The next one is another one that had such an iconic valet, and that's Woman.
Yep.
She, what's that first thing?
Beauty and Broad.
What is that?
She was one of those where she was a very attractive woman, but she had that look of sternness to her.
Oh, she had
very seductive. You know what I mean? I was watching Halloween Havoc '89 again, and that was the debut of Doom.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And what happened was she flirted with Rick Steiner. She came out of the crowd, of course. She was a fan. She was infatuated with Rick Steiner, and Missy Hyatt was managing the Steiner brothers at the time, and she was kind of like, something's funny about this woman. And she ended up tripping up Scott and costing them the tag titles. And she says, at Halloween Havoc, you'll meet your doom. And that's when Doom showed up. They were wearing capes, they had masks, and she was managing them. And they actually ended up beating Steiners in their debut. So
yeah, and of course she got her start in Florida with Kevin Sullivan.
I think she was in a relationship with Kevin Sullivan, right?
Sure, absolutely.
They were married.
Yeah. Okay.
And then she was briefly with the Horsemen, but then of course with her whole thing was when she started. I mean, I know she managed Kevin Sullivan and Taz and ECW in the early when it was Extreme. I don't even think it was Extreme. I think it was Eastern.
She was when Sandman first started buzzing. She was with Sandman. That was her. That was the one she was predominantly with in ECW was Sandman.
Yeah, and then of course there's the whole storyline because Kevin was the booker in WCW he was with her in real life, but and on TV. But then she started getting with Chris Benoit because it was Benoit and Sullivan.
Yep.
The whole feud there, and then that ended up bleeding over into real life.
Yep.
And the story goes with that is that ended up being a real life drama situation with Sullivan and Benoit, and she ended up leaving Sullivan, getting with Benoit.
Yep.
And then do you want to talk about? I mean, we have to talk about that with her.
The one thing before we get to that point, the one thing I remember about Woman was the feud with Deborah McMichael. When Mondo was with the Four Horsemen, I remember that was they spent a lot of time focusing on Deborah McMichael and Woman's issues. I don't think they ever had a match. I don't think they ever touched each other, but they were very catty with one another all the time. During that run where they were trying to revamp the Four Horsemen for that last run. But that's the one thing I remember about her most. And then the Benoit thing. She left wrestling in '97 out of nowhere. Just left.
I guarantee it's because that Sullivan Benoit thing.
But I wonder why she was never even mentioned or never even brought into WWE for anything. I wonder what the reasoning was behind that.
I would assume Benoit was probably just on some just take care of the. We got kids now.
Yeah.
Let's just take care. You just take care of them. I'll handle this kind of stuff. I would assume. And then, of course, in 2007, there's the whole thing where Benoit did what he did and killed her, killed his son. I mean, just a horrible
situation.
And then there's these people out there that you see these certain people out there that say that that's not really what happened. And
now Benoit has an older son that's
David
Benoit.
Just like him.
He's
been popping up at AEW.
A lot. I don't know if he's wrestling. I think at one point he may have tried. I know WWE is kind of staying away from him.
Yeah.
But for me, I kind of feel like there may be a chance there to do something good with it.
An AEW for sure. But
I mean, it's not his fault.
It's not his fault, of course not.
No, but But
it's just that last name is going to just.
What I don't like, and I don't want to get on a soapbox here about anything. I mean, a lot of people still want to celebrate this man's career as a wrestler. What happened was tragic. It's almost like you pretty much just got to wash your hands with the whole thing. You can't separate the person from the wrestler because they were pretty much one and the same in that business. You can't separate it. But there's people out there that want to ask your Paul Heymans or your Stone Colds about it, and they get mad. They get angry. That's what you want to ask me? You got all this time to ask me questions, and you want to ask me about him. You know what I mean? And I don't think there's ever going to be a situation where it's okay. Even Vince, when he goes out there on TV, that was one of the few times I've ever seen a wrestler celebrated so much. When he goes out there and they said today's just completely dedicated to Benoit, and they cut that special that was on the DVD, the Hard Knock Life DVD or whatever. They show that in its entirety on, I think it was ECW television or something. No, it was Raw. The next day they come out for ECW, and he says his name will never be mentioned again. Because all the details start coming.
Yeah, because they just thought that they all got killed. They didn't know that he did it.
Right.
And then that's a whole other discussion. And but on the dark side of the ring, I know I keep referring to that, but it's a big part of what helps us with the research.
Oh yeah.
His son David talks about how nobody's reached out to him except for Jericho and those other couple of people involved with that episode. I think Malenko.
Yeah.
But that's a terrible situation, man.
And it's sad that her history as a valet, she was one of the, if you talk about, we talked about the blueprint with Miss Elizabeth. She was right there.
Oh yeah.
And to me, I feel like Elizabeth was made from that mold of woman. Like
she was similar to her. She didn't really have to say nothing.
Very
just
similar.
Just stand there and
she could cut looks and
she would have been the heel version of Elizabeth.
Yeah, exactly.
She would have been the heel version of that.
Just from the facial expressions,
Exactly.
cutting the looks.
Very stern look, seductive, very beautiful woman. But
the way she looked on whoever she was with, the way she looked with them.
Exactly. Yeah, she would have been the heel version of Elizabeth, and I feel like Elizabeth's character was kind of modeled by that. That's what really shocked me, how WWE never even thought to bring her in. Or maybe, like you said, it could have been that what happened. She had kids, she wanted to stay home, she wanted to get out of the business. She'd been in it for a while at that point.
Yeah. And next up, you got one of the earlier valets. You got
OG.
Baby Doll.
I only remember her being with Dusty Rhodes.
Me too.
That's the only one. Her
Hey,
gimmick
window,
was the
baby.
perfect 10. And this was mid 80s.
Yep.
This is mid 80s.
NWA.
Yeah.
Yep.
Excuse me. She was the first valet I remember ever being mentioned by name. Before then, the valets would just be like on screen, and they would just walk
escort them to the ring.
escort to the ring. Yep. Most known for her time in WCCW and Jim Crockett. She was trained by Jake Roberts and married to his brother Sam Houston. I didn't know that until I started researching her.
Yeah. Which she's on again. She's on the episode about Jake Roberts too.
She is. I think
she's
that's
talking
what made
about
me
Sam
think
Houston.
about her.
About how that dude. I forgot how many DUIs they said he had, but I think it was like 20 something.
Jake or
no, Sam Houston.
Oh, yeah.
His alcohol problems, and then because he's so. I guess where he lives, his family's so well respected by that they keep letting him off. But I want to say it was 15 or 20 DUIs.
That's nuts, man.
Yep.
But yeah, she was a valet for Gino Hernandez. You know what I'm saying? But then when she got with Tully, and obviously I remember her with Dusty, but I also remember her with Tully too.
Yeah, she started. So I didn't know this. I've known her watching her with Dusty, but I didn't know how she came about being with Dusty. She was originally with Tully. Dusty won the TV title, and in return, also winning the TV title, he won the service as a Baby Doll.
Which is such a weird thing.
So weird back then.
Back then, it was fine though.
Yeah.
But she also
Talking about the 80s here.
She also escorted Flair. Get ready for this. Larry Zbyszko, and the last but not least, the Warlord.
Yep.
When did that happen?
I don't remember. This is just what
Warlord.
I was
In
doing.
what?
I don't
WWF?
know.
Was he in WCW ever? Warlord? I don't know. Google it.
Yeah, I
Do
mean,
it on your fancy Google machine.
Yeah.
but like when Dusty won her services, Dusty's job was to turn her into a real lady. I was like,
Basically telling her she's not going to be whoring around anymore. So, shout out Baby Doll. But also, too, you got a cool note here. Like valets that were also world champions.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Looks like we had Sherry. You had Trish Stratus. She had Lita. You had Chyna.
I never considered Chyna a valet, and I know she did before she actually started wrestling.
If we're going to be R.I.P. Chyna, let's just put it all out there. She looks like a gosh dang man.
Yeah.
But later on in life, she got more feminine.
Yeah.
But that's why you didn't look at her as a valet, because it looked like a dude walking down the ring, bro.
I'm a good point.
She had that chin sawed. She had that
chin
snub nose that chin a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
she had that extendo chin, bro. She had a fucking Draco clip on there.
What did Triple H see in her when she first came into business?
I mean, they were both like, how much you bench press?
Yeah, but
that's sexy.
Man, she kind of wonder about things, man.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah. Next up, we got another one. You got Marlena.
Marlena, old Terry Runnels.
Terry Runnels.
Man, she's been around for a minute too.
Long time.
I got to be honest. Like of all the divas and the females in wrestling, Marlena was always my favorite, bro.
Really?
Yeah, she always was.
Coming to the ring smoking a cigar with gold dust.
She was
That
one
just-
of those
yeah.
I love. Yeah, that was like she was one of those I love that they put her with a gimmick that worked.
Yeah.
Like we talked
That was a
about
perfect
Paul Bearer
matchup.
and Undertaker. Her and I didn't want to see her with anybody else but Goldust.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, it just
Well,
makes
Val Venus was a good mix for her too.
Sure, yeah.
With the whole.
And you had the whole Pillman gimmick also.
Well,
where
also too, she was Miss York too, right?
she was Miss York.
In
So the York
WCW,
Foundation
yeah.
in WCW was pretty cool. How she was taking these guys and converting them into like yuppies, pretty much.
No, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, she was taking the Southern of Southernest wrestlers. Southern of Southernest wrestlers
Southern
like
of
Tommy
Southernest,
Rich and
okay.
Ricky Morton and all these guys and turning them into yuppies. Like, but yeah, York Foundation was a dope gimmick, and I didn't even. It took me forever to realize that was the same person.
That's crazy.
It's nuts.
Yeah, but obviously Marlena was great. Then she got on to where she started wrestling some. She did okay like back then.
Now, did she go? She went to TNA for a little bit too. Did she go to TNA?
I don't remember her in
Okay.
TNA.
She may have. I'm not saying she did, but I don't know for sure.
I don't
Maybe
remember
later.
her in TNA.
Maybe
Chance, what you got over there?
The Warlord was in WCW, like 94, 95.
What was his
Okay.
name?
I believe it was.
Vince
Couldn't
probably
have been the Warlord.
Vince probably just let him have. He's like, you can just have it. I don't even
You
get
can,
it.
have, you can have that gimmick.
Wait, you're still here?
Yeah.
And Baby Doll did manage them, but it was early.
Okay.
Like, yep, probably Jim
Probably
Crockett, maybe
WCCW
before.
or
Yeah,
something.
or,
Yeah.
yep.
But also with Marlena, she got with Val Venus there for a while when Val Venus was doing what he was doing. And then whenever they did when Stevie Richards and them did was she part of that?
The Job Squad?
No, like the
Right to Censor.
Right to Censor or no?
Oh, I think you're right. I think you.
I remember Ivory. I remember Jacqueline.
No, that's who
Okay,
it was. It was
my bad, it was
Ivory.
Ivory. My bad.
And that's
Yeah.
one that we don't have on the list here too.
It's
is
a
Ivory.
good thing we don't have Ivory on
But
that list.
Ivory
Leave her off.
Was she a valet for anybody, or did she just come in and was just straight wrestling?
I think she was a
I
straight
think
wrestler.
yeah.
She was one of the last women wrestlers from that Glow organization.
Bro, the way-
original
Oh, I
Glow.
didn't realize that
The
she
way
came
that-
from
yeah.
Glow. Really?
the way that China buried her in that damn championship match, I think it was
Unbelievable.
WrestleMania 17 or something. She destroyed her, bro.
Yep.
But moving on, you got scrolling back down, you got Deborah McMichael,
Yeah.
Deborah McMichael.
which was, obviously she's with Mongo. She was with the Four Horsemen.
them power suits, dog. Like,
Yeah.
Deborah McMichael was
Yeah.
it.
Fun fact: she was in a horrible sequel, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
She was.
Part 3. She was a cop. We talked.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, brief. That's the.
I didn't realize doing the research on this that she managed that she was a valet for Das Wonder Kid, Alex Wright.
Oh.
I don't remember her with anybody other than Jarrett, Four Horsemen, and Steve McMichael. I don't remember her being with Goldberg or Alex Wright. I don't remember that.
Speaking of Jeff Jarrett, can we talk about that? That was always great when her and him came out to the ring and his music hit.
Yeah.
And then you started seeing King saying puppies, puppies.
Yeah.
But then when Jarrett started throwing them guitars around, dude, and it was hit. It's just so funny going back, like sidebars, going back and looking at some of this old stuff and watching old wrestling and seeing these dudes hitting women with chairs.
Yep.
It's
And,
insane.
and Jarrett hitting the guitar. And granted, it was just particle board, but still, bro. that shit
Yeah,
still
I mean,
doesn't
he's
hurt.
laying into that
dude,
shit.
one
He's
of the
not-
dopest was when they put Mae Young through it. The Dudley Boys put Mae Young
Dude.
through a table.
That
Yeah,
is
off the
insane,
ramp,
bro.
And she told them, "Don't be a bitch." She said, "Don't be a bitch. Don't hold back."
Yeah,
Like,
off the ramp.
Like watching that, bro. That is the most to think about the society we are in now.
Yeah.
And that just 20 years ago, 25 years ago, which is insane to think that it was.
That's how they got Keebler, Stacy
Yes.
Keebler
Yep.
out of the Dudleys. They put her through.
Put her through a table.
Bruh, like that shit's wild to me. But when Jarrett was doing that, that was always a really cool thing. I don't remember her being with Goldberg.
I don't remember that at all. I don't remember that.
It must have been brief, but obviously, and then in real life, was she married to Stone Cold
Yeah.
for a while?
Yeah, they were married.
Yeah, they
And
were
she
married.
managed him also. There was a brief period in WWE when Austin was playing the heel. Deborah was there.
They had a few domestic situations.
Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stone Cold got arrested, I think,
Yep.
one time because
Yeah.
of
Isn't
a
that
dose.
funny? He
She
probably
got-
barely even did anything. Jeff Jarrett was hitting her with guitars and fucking.
Well, the crazy thing is, like, during the whole steroid thing, when all that stuff came out about Benoit, Deborah McMichael was all over the tabloids talking about steroid abuse and domestic abuse and all
so
that
she
stuff.
was like whistleblowing.
Like,
shout out.
after the fact.
Stop snitching. You know what I mean? But yeah, then you got Kimberly Page.
One of my
obviously with
favorite.
DDP.
She was one of my favorites too.
I mean, she honestly set that bar in WCW
Yeah.
high, man. She was.
But I remember when because I remember watching one of the WCW timelines on kayfabe with Sean Oliver.
Yeah.
And it was 97 maybe. And it was Kevin Nash that he was sitting down with. And he was talking about the whole deal where I guess she had a Playboy spread. And they were he was asking him like, what did everybody in the locker room say about it? He was like, man, it wasn't even really like that. Everybody was, wasn't disrespectful or nothing. But he was talking about, it was definitely a good Playboy issue. But what's funny too about her, bro, like this is random, but we're a movie podcast. She's actually got a cameo in 40-Year-Old Virgin when they're speed dating. The chick that's got the titty that's jumping out of the gym.
That's her?
Kimberly
That's her?
Page.
No
Yeah,
way.
bro.
Are you serious?
I swear.
Missed
Look it
that.
up. Look
that's
up Kimberly Page, 40-Year-Old Virgin. I'm almost.
Yeah,
I'm
it
gonna have
is.
to go back and
It
watch
is.
that movie.
Missed that
I
one.
remember.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah,
How
that
old
was
is she now?
No, it's
Are her?
I mean, she still looks like she's in
probably
great shape.
probably same age.
no,
as
I'm
Sonny.
assuming her and
Paige, they're not together.
Yeah.
No.
No,
They weren't
They're
together
good.
long after WCW.
They're
No.
good
Okay.
friends though. Still,
man, Paige with the whole DDP yoga, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Holy shit!
It's Kimberly Page, bro.
No way!
Yep.
Wow!
Jumping at the gym, dude.
Wow!
she's 53.
She's 53. Wow.
Yeah, and if you looked her up now and just put her up next to Sonny, it's just like night. It's
Night and
crazy,
day.
bro.
She's on that DDP yoga.
DDP yoga, dude. Fuck
I mean,
yeah.
speaking of trendsetters, when we talk about valets, we got to talk about Sable.
Sable, yeah.
The
I mean, we
puppies.
talk about Sherry being the GOAT when it comes to valets.
Sable
but
was the game changer, though.
Oh, yeah.
Sable was the game changer, even more so than what Sonny was, because Sonny started off just being a personality and then becoming it like she rose to fame as a personality. Sable came in the game with Mark Merrow, and she was like, I mean, she was something special off the rip.
She was with Hunter Hearst Helmsley for a couple of times at first.
She was, yep.
Really?
Yep. Came
I
out with-
missed that. Was that when he would come out with the valet?
Yep.
When I missed that.
and doing
Yep.
the curtsy, the bowing and everything.
I think Mark Merrow saved her from him.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then
then
it was short. It was real.
I
real
mean, when
short
she
time.
started catching a lot of traction. That was causing a lot of issues with the other females in WWE backstage because she was getting so much more money than them, and she wasn't. They were letting her get over in the matches, and she couldn't wrestle. I know.
I hated watching her wrestle.
Oh yeah.
I know in the whole match, in the whole episode with what's her name? The one that was always with Goldust, not Marlena.
Luna.
Luna.
Yep.
There was the whole thing with her and Luna. where
Luna
they
should
got-
have beat the brakes
They
off
got
her.
into it.
Yeah.
But obviously Vince, I mean, she was making Vince a lot of money.
Yeah.
So
I
it was
think
kinda
that's
one
the
of those
reason
things.
why Brock is as big of a star as he is now.
now she's
And
married
they're
to Lesnar.
Well,
pushing
now
her
they
because
say
they-
that nobody is allowed to mention Sable on television.
Yep.
Something happened. She filed a lawsuit
She
against
sued them.
WWE.
Oh yeah. Sexual harassment lawsuit.
Something happened. She
Really?
filed the lawsuit, and now, but like to this day, nobody mentions.
Is
Sable.
she still with Lesnar?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They got
I bet
kids
you
and
one.
everything?
I bet you one
Damn,
person
I
could
didn't
get
know
away
that
with
she
saying
was
her name if he wanted to.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, nobody
Yeah,
says
they got
Sable's
like
name
two
at all.
kids together. They got like
Okay.
two mini Brock
Yeah.
Lesnars.
Yeah.
I mean, they're growing like Vikings.
I'm sure.
Say her and Brock are.
But yeah, Sable was definitely one of the game changers. Then
I remember that when that Playboy magazine came out.
I
me
think
and
that was one of
Ryan
the highest
got
selling
that
Playboy
motherfucker.
magazines of all time.
it came that magazine came out whenever I worked at Media Play, and I remember we actually sold Playboys randomly. Like
Wow.
and we sold a lot of those.
Yeah, I remember.
Not
that
as
one.
many. Well, we sold way more of those than we did the China issue. RP. But and then you had Lita.
Oh,
Moving on, you had
Lita was one of
Oh,
my
yeah.
favorites. She was always
Came out with the Hardy Boys and it, or no? Was it no? It was S.A. Rios. Was that
S.A.
first?
started with
Rios.
S.A.
She was
Rios,
actually
yeah.
one of the Godfather's hoes too at one point.
Really?
She came out as one of the Godfather's
Shout out
hoes.
to, dude. That is one dude I would love to sit and kick it with.
Oh
Yeah.
God, yes.
Charles, yeah.
Because
Charles,
listening
yes.
to him talk, he just likes to smoke weed and he manages
It
his
talks
bar.
wrestling.
And he's
He had one of the coolest deals too. He said Vince would just kind of like let him come in for a brief period of time, go away for a brief period of time, come back. Like,
he had it made, bro.
He had it made. He had the awesome.
And one of Taker's best friends.
Oh, yeah.
And she, Lita was starting with S.A. Rios, and then, like I said, she was one of the Godfather hoes. But then she got with Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy, and
Yep.
Lita turned into one of the best female
Yeah.
wrestlers.
Wrestlers, yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Yep.
Didn't she, until she broke her neck?
Broke her neck, yeah.
Broke her neck.
But Lita was definitely was definitely one that
She was in the
mentioned.
first female match to ever main event Raw. Her and Trish for the belt.
Yep.
Trish
Yep.
had the broken nose.
Oh, yeah.
wearing the
Yep,
mask.
Yep. And
That whole Edge and Matt Hardy feud right there, that whole real life.
She had some enhancements done by then too.
Yeah, well, that's when Matt Hardy got hurt, but she was still on the road, and her and Edge.
Oh yeah, that was that whole thing.
And
That whole
then
thing
it
was similar
turned
to like
into a real life
Benoit.
feud.
Yeah, bro, that shit was real.
Yeah.
that was similar. It was like a Benoit Kevin Sullivan shit.
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
That's exactly what it was.
And then that's when Hardy left the WWE
Yes,
and
bro.
then went over to
she did him all kinds of dirty,
Yeah.
bro.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that
Edge,
was a bad.
Edge is look. I don't know the deal. I mean, you see the stories because in the Matt Hardy or the Hardy Boys DVD and like they talk about that in those DVDs back in the day. So I don't know, but you hear both sides, and somewhere in the middle is the truth. But I feel like Edge is wrong for that. Dog.
Yeah.
Between Edge and CM Punk, they've ran through some divas.
Yeah,
Them
they
guys,
did.
man, they have ran.
Yeah, because
through
Edge is
some
with
divas.
what's her name still? Ain't
Beth
it?
Beth
Phoenix.
Phoenix.
Are they still together?
Yes.
Yeah.
So and then of course you had Trish Stratus. We can talk about that. Like what?
I'm telling you, Trish Stratus was. I mean, I said Stacy Keibler was my favorite, but Trish, before Trish wrestled, before she started wrestling, Trish was the one. The cowboy hat with the long trench jacket.
Who'd she start out with?
TNA.
TNA. It was Test
and Albert.
And
It's
Albert.
Albert. Is he still involved with the developmental?
I'm not sure if
Matt,
he is or
whatever his
not.
name is.
Matt
Did he
Bloom.
get in trouble?
No, that was DeMont.
DeMont.
That got in trouble.
Demond. Yeah.
Let's just for the hell of it, we're gonna look up Trish Stratus's age and just comparison.
Dude, she
she's
looks
a-
better.
she's-
bruh,
She looks
she's-
better now than she did.
Oh,
Yeah.
bro, she's
Yeah, he's-
47.
Matt
Yeah.
Bloom still a
Yeah.
yeah, he's
He
still a
likes-
trainer.
He's probably one of the
I cannot
head
believe
trainers
Sonny
down there.
looks like that.
I
Bro. That's
mean, I was
insane
shocked,
to me.
too, when
And
I
she's
saw
in
it.
jail. So how did she get bigger in jail?
They
Usually-
feed you good.
Yeah,
commissary,
that's where
I
our
guess.
tax dollars go, man.
I'm not even from that standpoint.
She got
but, like,
fan
she's not
centered
doing-
commissary. I don't know.
But like she must be doing anyway. But Trish was definitely one, and still is she still? I don't watch it no more. But
she's
still
back
wrestling?
She
for a
wrestled.
run against
Yep.
Becky. They're building a storyline with her and Becky right now.
And she's been in the
That's
past two
She was in the Money in the Bank ladder match.
Okay.
She
And the
was
past
in
two
that. She's
Women's
been in the
Royal Rumbles.
Yeah, she's made appearances here and there, and her and Trish, well, Trish and Lita and Becky, and there was another one. They kind of had a little thing going for a while there.
Okay.
Lita, I think, is back around. Lita's really involved right now with the Most Wanted Treasures. And she's been involved in a couple storylines here and there too. So, but Lita's one of those I really don't want to see her wrestle anymore.
No.
I mean, yeah, she's
still she's aged very well, very well. Too.
Yes.
she's still a beautiful woman.
now there is one that's on this list that I do really favor, and she doesn't do it as much anymore. I think she's done. Lana,
Yeah.
Yep.
power suits, man. It's the power suits.
So did she ever get with anybody besides Rusev?
Just
Nope,
Rusev.
just-
She was
no,
with
she did Bobby
Ziggler.
Lashley. She was with Bobby Lashley for a little bit.
Was she?
Mm-hmm.
Missed
That
that.
whole like lovers triangle thing.
Oh yeah,
I think she
remember.
was with Dolph for a little bit.
Yeah,
too.
and Dolph Ziggler. Yeah, she was
You
with
can put
Dolph.
Dolph on that list with CM Punk and Edge also because
Is
Dolph ran through some.
Is he still getting done screwed over by WWE?
Oh yeah, he's still mid card. He's like the Miz,
Yeah.
Mr. Mid card.
Then they had the storyline with her and Liv Morgan where they were lovers.
Oh yeah,
I don't even know who that is.
Speaking of, let's go back to Sonny. Dolph is on Sonny's list. I don't know if y'all knew that. Like recently,
I'm
like
sure
a few
Sonny-
years ago when Sonny wasn't at her peak, Dolph was involved with that.
Damn.
Yeah,
Maybe that's what.
yeah. So much that Sonny was doing an interview with that the guy-
Kayfabe, yeah.
the kayfabe, yeah, and he mentioned it and Sonny's boyfriend's off camera.
Oh, that's right. I seen
Mad
that.
about
that
it.
you shoot the you shoot
Yep,
interview.
mad
Yeah.
about it.
And then you got Tori Wilson, which
Tori
Tori Wilson now, like I've seen her, she's like super like fitness. She doesn't even look like the same person.
No,
And
no.
And she's always pretty woman like back then.
She was thicker back then.
Yeah, but now she just
Now she's just
so
fit. She's just really fit.
yeah. So because like when I saw pictures of her, I was like, that's the same Tori Wilson that was in WWE.
Freaking Alex Rodriguez screwed that one up.
Yeah, I
didn't
don't know
know
what
that.
he was thinking with that. Yeah.
Golly, he cheated on her
I mean, it doesn't
Was
shock
that
me.
before or after J Lo?
before J Lo.
Before J-Lo.
Before J Lo. Okay.
Yeah,
He
probably
messed that one up too, though.
Yeah. Well,
He
it's
messed up
Alex
that.
Rodriguez.
He messed up baseball. He messed up the home run. I mean, just
Just keeps
Alex
getting, just keeps
Rodriguez.
getting paid.
keep it pimping, A-Rod.
But yeah, but shout out Tori Wilson. Then you had
You got to bring up Vicky Guerrero.
yeah.
Just
Vicky was a good personality.
Yeah.
I remember watching that
Excuse
ladder
me.
match between. Yeah, that was the thing. I remember watching
hated
the
her
ladder
so
match.
much.
The whole edge situation.
Well,
that was
she,
disgusting.
She muffed the finish of the ladder match between Eddie and Ray with the Dom custody.
Yeah.
She muffed that. She wasn't in the right spot at the right time. But then she comes back after Eddie dies, and she's an on-air personality. But that, excuse me, like that was the most annoying thing ever.
Yep.
All
But
time.
it worked.
That's all
It
she had to say.
worked.
Yeah,
But that's what it was supposed to be.
It
doing.
worked. I don't know what she was doing with AEW there briefly when they first started, but I didn't want to see her anymore. Once she left, what I don't like is if you can't use the same gimmick with a wrestler or the same type of gimmick, I don't want to see you try to reinvent yourself at this point. Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't interested in all with it at all.
Yeah. But
like a chainsaw
and then of
back
course, Vicky, she was an on-air talent for years. And then of course, when
SmackDown GM,
yeah,
Raw
and of course
GM.
Eddie passing away, which that's a whole nother episode of Eddie Guerrero we're gonna do. I'm looking forward to when we start doing the single
Getting into
wrestler's
wrestlers.
career.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think that'll be cool.
I just remember Eddie shot up like out of nowhere. Eddie was a cruiserweight. All of a sudden, Eddie's arms are bigger than trucks.
Yeah,
I'm
shout out
like,
steroids.
dang, man.
That was probably a contributing factor to that. And the drugs, obviously.
I'd never seen
So I have a heart
biceps
attack.
with that many veins. I was like,
Yeah.
And out like overnight.
He was like 5'3" or 5, whatever he was. But yeah, man, Valets, dude.
That's
Got
it?
one more for you.
Oh, give it
okay.
to us.
Melina from Eminem.
Oh, Melina, yeah, is that the one that did the splits intro?
Yep.
And then
that was the
ducked up under
dopest intro for. Yeah,
Yep.
that was the dopest intro.
Yeah.
Had to bring her up.
No, yeah,
of your
Melina
favorites?
was definitely a valet, bro. That was a good call, Chance. I forgot about that one.
Bingo.
That was at mid 2000s.
And she became a world champion too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sure did.
Yep.
So many, and there's so many that we just didn't even think about mentioning. But a lot of them, like I said, would start out somewhat as valets and then get into wrestling. And then once they started wrestling, you didn't really see them as valets anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, hopefully y'all enjoyed this episode. This was a fun one again. It was glad that we was able to get this one knocked out. It's been one that we've been trying to do for a couple of weeks. It's just a timing thing. But y'all comment below. Let us know if there was any that we forgot. Who were y'all's favorites? Who did y'all like the least? Be sure to hit the subscribe button on the channel. All the guys' Instagrams is in the description. Go follow us. If you tap into the audio format of the pod, that link's below. Also tap into the sponsors. You got Trouble Spirits, Nixon Pro Media, Revolution One Media.
And we out this motherfucker.
Tell your mom I said hi.
Hit that cash in.